All right. Welcome back to another episode of Mr. Mysteries in Black and White with you two hosts, myself, Ed, and my main man, Josh.
How we doing?
Today, we have got a very special guest, which I'm really buzzed about because I've been following the BBR for a few years now. It is Deborah Hatswell. How are we, Deborah?
I'm very well, thank you. Thank you for asking me to come on.
No, the pleasure's ours. Let's say, because I remember joining the BBR and everything because I've done a little investigation for you at Forney.
Right, Forney Woods, yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. So being part of it because it's just it's mad. This is mad.
You're like at the minute.
Yeah, I am.
Well, maybe after we've had this little Zoom call, I can keep you for 5 minutes while I tell you about some of the very amazing things that BBR are going to do this year, and I think you might be interested.
Oh, yeah, sweet.
Brilliant.
Right, my first question is what got you into research into Bigfoot and other weird phenomena?
I'd experienced some paranormal things when I was a child, but I'd never really kind of thought anything about that or carried it with me. It wasn't, anything. And when I was 15, 1982, back then, I lived in a small town in Manchester called Salford. I was at a mining museum in a country park. Absolutely could not have happened. Completely impossible. I was there with my friend. It was a beautiful day like today. It was like spring, but really nice. I think like May time. But 1:30 in the afternoon, we both lay down talking like this. And these like shrubs in front of us and to the side of us, we were kind of ducked in so the teachers wouldn't see us. I'd skip the fact that we kind of waxed school that day. Didn't want to go in. Just didn't want to go in. And back then it was like O levels, and I'd done mine the year before. I was quite a clever kid, so I just bored. I didn't want to go in. Never heard of Bigfoot, never heard of Loch Ness Monster, probably. I'm English, so other than that, no knowledge of anything like that. And this thing, something moved in the bushes, and if it hadn't have moved, I wouldn't have caught it. And as I looked, I made eye contact with it. And it just leant out of the greenery. And honestly, I was absolutely terrified. So much so that I actually pushed my friends to the ground so that it's truth, honest to goodness truth. There's no point me lying. I've said it so many times. At school, I'm the sort of person that if he was having trouble, I'd be like, "Oh, what are you doing? Leave him alone, don't."
Yeah.
So it was the complete opposite of me. I didn't it without thinking. I looked at him and I just screamed, pushed her to the floor, and I was off running. And I looked back to see if A, he was chasing me, or B, he'd got her, and he'd gone. He just melted back into the green and he was completely gone.
Oh wow.
For her, it was terrifying. It was for both of us, but she'd got no interest in it, never had. We didn't even speak to each other the next day. It was like we blamed each other for the event. I wanted to know everything. I just thought he looked like a caveman, but not a typical caveman. Neanderthal doesn't fit. It's not airy enough. He looked like a man and an ape pushed together somehow.
Yeah.
So you've got this really thick brow ridge, really pronounced muscular jaw. I remember his teeth. They weren't canines or anything like that. They were very human-like, just bigger.
Oh, wow.
A human-type mouth. Nose was a bit spread. It was exactly the same as Chris Eubanks, the boxer. His nose, and I'll tell you why. In a minute. Exactly the same. Amber-coloured eyes. No hair on his face, just a bit of bum fluff, like a young lad, but completely hair covered. But I only saw him from here.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Luckily, probably 30 years later, a woman from the same town gets in touch with an American cryptozoologist because he'd shared my story. And she contacted him and said, I saw it 2 years after Deborah. And she saw all of it. And it was stood in the same place. It was just stood there. And she said it was just looking at her. And in the Northwest, we have an expression called garping. So he was just like slap-jawed and just looking. Yeah. She said he was clearly male. He had male genitalia. You could quite clearly see them. A bit of a pot belly on him, but completely hair covered. And she said he looked like a man and a chimp.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
2 different times of year. So for me, it was really lovely and sunny. For her, it was January. I swore it was dark.
Yeah.
I was playing with my mate. She had a dog. I found other people that have seen him too.
Oh, wow.
Some really, so we're looking from 1950 to 2021, where this report of this strange thing, it could be residual.
Right, yeah.
It could be, repeating somehow every year. It could have been a time slip.
Yeah.
The closest thing for me that fits to his description, and I studied hominids, so I know from Agaster right the way through all of them. Hydelagaster, they have a skeleton of a 14-year-old boy, and they've measured its thigh bone, and they said that would be about 7.5 feet tall. They were the first hominids to come down onto the ground and start to build these strange structures that people tend to find within the woodlands. Could never get him perfect though. Nothing was, that's him. And until about, can't remember now, for about 2002, something like that. Scrolling through, I'd asked a witness to go online and tell me, I say it to all of them, get online and see if you can find something that looks similar to it. And then we'll get on the photo app and we'll make like a photo fit of it and we'll try and get it as close as we can. And I saw that the Sykesville monster, for anyone who looks it up, it's Sykesville in America, starts with an S. They'd had a number of witnesses who'd seen this creature over a period of time. So they sat them all down with a police sketch artist. And what I saw was that artist's impression.
Wow.
And I was right back there. It was, I threw the laptop. I was crying. I was really upset. And my husband said to me, right, Deb, that's it. You're going to put it to bed once and for all and walk away from it because it's going to make you ill. Or do what you always do, just run at it and see if you can find out what it was that you saw that day. Hence BBR, So that started as being big British Bigfoot Research UK. I started as.
Yeah, I remember that.
And then on my path, I realised that people were making reports of dogman-like creatures and werewolves and all manner of things, and they weren't being listened to either. Nobody was recording these incidents. Nobody was mapping them, so they were just being lost.
Yeah, because I was going to get onto that, about the map, the map you've made and everything like that, which is absolutely incredible. Because, like you say, because with things like that, if you go to someone and say, I've seen a Bigfoot, I've seen a werewolf, or anything like that, you get laughed at, don't you?
Yeah.
Like you said, the amount of stories, eyewitnesses have seen is completely lost. Like people saying, "Oh, it's so rare that it can't be real." It's how many people have not told anyone because they're scared to laugh.
Yeah. How many Debbies are out there? It was awful. I drank. I moved into the high rise. I thought he was going to get me. I thought he was going to come back and get me. It was this. Your parents tell you there's no such thing as monsters. They don't exist.
No, it's what they.
Yeah, and he was a monster. That's exactly what he was. And I had to go back to school the next day. Yeah. And I just remember just not wanting to go out. I didn't want to go out with my mates. I grew up in that part. You do when you live in a city or a town, don't you? You have that bit that you go to with your mates, when everybody kind of meets up there because there's not a whole lot going on. Never again. It took me 35 years to go back. 35 years. And I only went back because Finding Bigfoot asked me to go back. That was 2015.
What? Finding Bigfoot?
Yeah, the program that everybody knows in America. Yeah. A number of times over the years. There's not been a site in the UK, really, for people to report to. No. So what they do is they reach out to the American channels. Yeah. And I'm very lucky in the fact that I network really early on with a lot of people. And I remember the Finding Bigfoot team when Tom Powell was a member of them way back in the day. Before they did the TV show, they did the BFRO website, which is still up. So, so I was really lucky that I'd had reports from them over the years. And they just asked me, they were doing a program in England and they asked me if they could come over. And unfortunately, I explained to them that it's not the same here in the UK as it is in America.
No.
I said to him, you can't do one town hall. You'll have to do a number of them because people just will not travel 8 hours to sit somewhere for an hour in the UK and travel. It's not going to happen like that. But they didn't listen, and they did it in the northwest of England. So we missed out on all of the south. Nobody came up. It wasn't great. It could have been handled a lot better. And they decided after 24 hours of being here that there was no such thing as the British Bigfoot, and off they went again. But it didn't stop the reports coming in.
No, but
It never stopped.
I always found that show like quite frustrating in that sense, because they'd only stay in one place like for so little time, and then they're like, "No, it's nothing here. Let's go to the next." Which, in reality, if these creatures, which I mean, I believe they're flesh and blood. But these creatures, if they don't want to be seen, they're not going to be.
Yeah.
No.
And especially if you're running around with cameras and everything like that, they're so much less likely they're going to come out. And then to just disregard them, I think, is very petty, like shallow.
Yeah.
I think it's the same as, like, I try to say to people, if you see a ghost now, paranormal, demon, entity, anything, it's accepted. It's fine.
Yeah.
Accept it. You saw that. If you see a UFO, it's expected. You say, well, I get it. So why are they different? Why can we not? Ordinary folk are seeing extraordinary things every day on the world. We do. So all these reports come in, and we accept them, and we say, oh, brilliant, let's get out to that area and let's get our EMFs out and let's see what we can find. Let's get online and see what we can find. You see a creature, you're on your own. Completely on your own. You're not going to get anybody to do it. So what I've spent my time doing is setting up that network, just networking with any podcasters or investigators or anybody that I can that's gung-ho to get out there and have a look, or just to interview the witnesses themselves. Let's get the truth out there. Let's normalize this conversation.
I agree totally, because I'm like, in a way, I'm jealous of you because of you having your experience. I know that put on a lot.
I know, I get that. I do get that. Yeah, I'm a very lucky woman. Blessed.
Yeah, but I know that like I put on a bit of trauma for you, which I wouldn't put on anyone. But I think thing is, you don't know until you've done it yourself, till it's happened to you yourself. You don't have to react. It's a fight or flight.
Yeah.
I mean, I can sit here I can sit here all day long and say like, oh no, I'll be all right. I'll stand my ground. If an 8'8" beast is standing there, you just don't know. Like,
Sorry, I didn't mean to speak over you.
You're right. No, you're right.
Say, if you left today, you went out the studio in half an hour and left, and there was a big black panther outside the door, you would act primally. You wouldn't, and you just slam the door and make sure you were safe. It's something that happens instantly without thinking. And this was a monster. It was like a gorilla, but a man at the same time. All the things that you're told to be terrified of when you're younger. And he's out there. And oh my God, the adults know that he's out there and they're not doing anything about it. Nobody cares. What if he gets me? What if he gets somebody else? All of that played on my mind.
Yeah.
And I just wish back then there'd have been a podcast, there'd have been something in England that I could have gone, oh, maybe it was that. I need to talk to these guys. They might be able to explain it away for me. And for all it was traumatic, probably one of the most traumatic things in my life, I have met the most amazing people because of it. I have probably one of the best jobs on the planet, because my job is interviewing witnesses and investigating their cases. And now we do everything. We do paranormal, because I'm not God. I can't solve everything. But I know these people out there got skill sets that I can use, that I can say, could you help this witness? If you're really good at the paranormal stuff, could you sit down with this witness and talk to them? Could you go out and visit them? So that's what I've done. I can't see to everybody. So it's like, right, let's do that. Let's get investigators and people and other witnesses involved to say, could you speak to this witness? The amount of times in a week I speak to ordinary working class folk, men who are security guards, they're working on building sites, or the plumbers or sparks, all of that. Harder for them, much harder for them, because the mates will tell Michael, you cannot go to the gym and tell your mate what you've seen.
No. I found that because I work on building sites and everything. Like doing this podcast, like talking about paranormal, cryptids, everything like that. It's like such a taboo subject, and it's our passion and everything like that.
It's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, I just love that the world has got so many mysteries that people are still bone idle to look at.
It's just pure narrow-mindedness.
I think so, like, but and that's why we started the podcast to try and like open.
Yeah, shift that. Let's change that. Let's change things going forward. Yeah. Do you know what the thing that always got me? We have paranormal podcasts, and we have podcasts about the UFO, and we have cryptid podcasts, and same in conferences. Why are they not all in one room?
Yeah,
because some of those witnesses have other experiences.
Yeah, exactly.
So
reason of ours.
Yeah.
We're
missing half the story. Yeah, get them in. Let's get in. Let's have a brew. Let's have a drink. Let's get something cooked. Let's have a normal discussion about it. What did you see? How old were you when it started for you? Or someone will say, well, actually, I've only ever had the one. For some people, it's just the one experience. They never experienced anything else in their life, and it's just that one event,
Yeah.
And for others, unfortunately, it's an ongoing kind of draining attachment kind of thing that you've got to really school them how to get rid of that, how to set them out. Each case is unique in its own right.
Yeah, because speaking of that, because we've last week we done a paranormal investigation at because we live in Wisbeach,
right. Yeah, I know where.
Yeah, and at the Wisbeach Castle and everything, and the shop, the shop especially is called Dark Realms. It is plagued with spirits, and it's also got. Have you heard of Matthew Hopkins, the witch hunter?
I'm terrible with names. I'd have to see his face. I'd have to go on Google and look.
He's spirit now, but Matthew Hopkins, he's one of the most notorious witch hunters of the UK's history.
Right.
And he operated mainly in East Anglia.
Right.
And we actually through what would you say, psychic? Would you say she was?
Yeah.
A psychic. He spoke through her to us, and some of what he was saying was absolutely
it's just brutal.
Yeah,
it's pure brutality.
Yeah, and let's say, because we want to get into more doing not just paranormal, cryptid, UFOs, just investigations. Works. This, and we're just getting there step by step.
Yeah.
But no, look, I didn't know.
I can help with. Yeah, I can definitely help you with that. Don't worry about that. We'll take care of that today.
Brilliant. But I never knew about Bigfoot in Britain or anything. I've ever since lockdown, I've been studying Bigfoot and everything like that. And until I stumbled across your podcast, BBR, and I just started going back to work, and I was looking through for different podcasts because I'm a digger driver, so I just want to listen to something in the background.
Yeah, why not?
And I saw BBR about British Bigfoot and everything. I was like, what? So I was like, righto. So I started watching that, and I was just like, no, this is amazing. Yeah. This is amazing. The thought of a creature like Bigfoot being on our little island is absolutely incredible.
It is.
One thing I'd like to ask is, you said, what was it, 35 years it took you to go back to that park where you had the original encounter? What was that? What was that like going back there after so long, knowing what happened the first time? Was there an eerie feeling towards it, or was there animosity, anything along them lines? Or
you're spot on. There was a mixture of a lot of things. My dad was a big tough fella, right? And he'd take us on building sites. He had 3 daughters, didn't have any sons, but he treated me like his son. So I've never been a kind of shy type of girl. I can tell a lad to shift in an instant. I can do it with my eyes without speaking. I was annoyed at myself. I was ashamed of myself that I was too frightened to go back, and I couldn't face it. And I do remember they actually took me in the car because I couldn't get in my husband's car and go. I just couldn't do it. We tried a number of times, and I couldn't do it. I just couldn't. And I mean, I'm really transparent, me. I'll tell you anything. I've just got nothing to hide. When I was about 21, 22, and I was married. I was married me at 18, me and my husband. We were just young kids when we got married. And, want to spice things up a bit, we decided to go out in the car and make things fun. Without looking, he drives me into Bewley. I was over the passenger seat and I was screaming and I was hitting him. And get me out of here. He's going to get me. He's going to get me. And you think he looked at me like I was a complete lunatic. And so I was expecting that when I went back. I thought I was stealing myself for it, like, don't show yourself up in front of these, Deb. Like, don't start crying or being a complete muppet. And I knew I thought they're not going to believe me. Number one, I've got to get ready for that. They're going to think I'm a complete fraud. Yeah. Driving from my house to Bewlil, the first thing he said to me was, "You said you live in a town." I said, "I do. This is a town." He went, "No, not by our standards." Not. He said it's miles and miles of greenery. I said, "That's how we live in the UK. You have a conurbation. You have your shops and everything, like your view where you go, all of that. And then it's fields and farm fields on to the next one." They were really, really impressed with the layout of the land. And then when I got them there and I explained everything to them, getting out the car was hard, but I knew I had to do it. And one thing that saved me was the house is still empty. So there was a big barricade around it.
Right.
So I could actually go to that spot. I could show them through the barricade and say, right, that's where I was sat. Yeah. And I'm really glad I went back, because in my head, he was about 10 feet tall, right? Yeah. But when I went back, my husband stood where he was, and my hubby's about 6 foot dead on. And he would have only been, I think he'd probably be 7.5, not the 10-foot giant thing that I thought he was.
Yeah.
And I was able to look at it with an adult's eye and think, what were you? What were you?
Yeah. Why? That fear then becomes like curiosity then, doesn't it? And it brought you on to make a BBR, which is still incredible.
I see it in the witnesses. You see the scale tip. We go from, don't tell anyone what I've seen, don't tell them my name, don't put me on camera too. I've had enough, Debbie. I need out. Come with me. Say not a problem. And if I can't come with you, put me on Zoom. Can it put me on FaceTime? Can it be in that way? Or let's get a team together down there where you are. Let's get a few heads together and all go in at once. I think once you empower him and you give him the tools to say, he was there, that's where I saw him, or it was here, the light was here, or, any of that, when you take a genuine interest and they know that you're genuinely interested, you see them open up.
Yeah, they're relaxed. I know what you mean. They guard down as such,
and they start to trust you then, because you don't shove them in the papers, and you don't, you say it's fine. If you don't want to share that with anyone, that's fine. Me and you, private conversation, and that's it. Let's just shelve it at that. We offer everything, because people want different. Some people want to run at it, like, Deb, will you come and stay overnight in Woods with me? No, not a chance. Not a chance. No. But I can find a team that'll go in with you. We've got a team who are happy to do it all on WhatsApp, all waiting to go. And it's just, let's just get out there. And, there's so many of us now. There's so many of us,
Because I was going to say, because let's say I'm part of BBR, and I've and on the map, like the members map, like you say, like the countries, it's full of us now. And with that, like you say, if you can't personally be there, you've got people on the backup. They're going for you, and I think with that, it just makes that much more comfortable as well. Yeah. There is people like-minded about, because when I was researching it and that, I used to feel silly.
Yes, I know, exactly. But you'd be allowed to go and investigate a UFO case. It'd be okay if you went and investigated a reptilian sighting. That'd be fine.
Yeah.
If you saw a ghost or a demon or a red-eyed thing or this 9-foot-tall shadow being, that's fine. Just don't mention a cryptid creature or a dogman. Well, unfortunately, police officers see them.
Yeah.
People in the army see them. I've got a document from Freedom of Information Act, and I'll send it over to you in email so you can look at it. And it was done between, I probably get the years wrong, and I apologise if I do, but someone will correct me. I think it was 2008 to 2018. And we only looked at Staffordshire, one county, because that's all you're allowed to do under the Freedom of Information Act. And it was Neil Coty who did it. And he searched a number of words like beast, wild man, wolf. Yeah. When we get the stats back, it's staggering. 12 werewolves. 12 werewolves have been reported to the police. People had actually gone into the station and made legitimate statements within that 10 year in one county. Spread that around the UK. 685 beasts of unknown origin. 15,000 big cat reports. You would be astounded at the amount of information that's out there if you just love nosy line, and I love a rummage.
Yeah. It's like you just said. It's like that would be an exaggerate. That would be a massive number for the UK. But that's just one county.
Why is it not in the newspaper? Why have we not been told this?
Yeah, I think it's because it's such a, it's just such a taboo subject.
Yeah,
like you as soon as you mention the name Bigfoot, it's for fuck's sake.
Yeah.
The wild man. He's mentioned in history. He's there in the 1st century. But a lot of people don't realise we're actually named after a woman who mated with the giants of England. Her name was Albania. And this is why we are Albion. And she had sisters, and those sisters mated with the giants of... All our history is based on these big giants. They called them dryads or silvestries or satyrs. They had names for them. And they were meant that they could be a tree or a warrior of a man, meaning that you were that good at what you did. The Roman coming or any invading force, you just killed them on the beaches. And we did that for centuries, you know. And we were, you think back to the diet, we had our natural foods that we were supposed to eat. We had the exercise that we were supposed to have. We lived a really natural, pure thing until about the 6th century when we got invaded by just everybody wanted to invade us. He's in our history, he's in our churches. Everywhere you go, there's a green man peeping through the greenery.
You said that.
He's everywhere.
Yeah, because there's like they're known like the wood woes in like an island. Like you got like the big grey man of Ben Nevis.
Yes, yeah, exactly. Cairngorms, you've got that. I'm trying to think. You've got the Owlman down in Marwan in Cornwall. A number of big reports in Cornwall, all across the south. If you follow that coastline under cliff all the way across, lots and lots of reports of cavemen. So there's cavemen, right? If you go from Kent all the way to Scotland, they're very canine. See lots of werewolf reports, Old Stinker, the Flixton werewolf, hundreds of reports along that side. So you're seeing a pattern there. A pattern of how come they're all dogman-like. There's loads and loads of military bases along that coast because we used it when we were being invaded during the war. And I wonder if that has something to do with these hybridized things that people are reporting.
Yeah, because I remember one of your podcasts when you was talking about RAF Alconbury.
Yes,
and there was a lot like I remember you saying there was a lot of experiences happening there, which isn't actually too far from us.
No.
Where is it? Where is that? It's like St Ives or something.
Something like along them lines, isn't it?
I think so. I'll have to look into that. But
I mean, honestly, if there's anybody out there and they want to know if there's anything around me, they're around their area, they want to go and have a look at it, just email me and I'll send you over what I've got.
Yeah, because I know at some point we want to go to Thetford Forest, which isn't a million miles away for us. And apparently, like, I remember you've said countless times that has got a lot of activity.
Off the top of my head now, I can think of 6 reports of an upright on 2 legs covered in hair creature seen in Thetford, normally along that road that runs down the middle.
Yeah.
And then you get what I call, if it's a flesh and blood animal, we should be hearing it. We should be hearing it move. We should be hearing growls and what I call para signs, meaning around signs. It's not complete evidence, but I'm hearing about screaming women in the woods or eye shine or growls. You've got a lot of that in Thetford as well. So there's something happening there. And it used to be vast. Like most of our woodlands, it used to be vast. And there are a lot of underground natural tunnels below. And we seem to forget about them in the UK. We are completely underrun with tunnels, all of the UK. Some of them come up Bosnia, Tunisia, Turkey. They run for miles and miles and miles down below. And I think it's something like less than 30% of them's ever actually been plotted.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow.
Looked at them. You know, we've never looked in them. They're just vast acreage. And then, like you said, the Cairngorms, look at our mountain ranges.
Yeah.
They're like a Appalachian Trail. They run right through the country and then right across the top. You can go anywhere you want when you're on them. You know, you can cross over.
Yeah.
Cairngorms, you mentioned. The first thing I can think of, Cairngorms, 1824. was, I think, the first written report. Last
Right.
one in the Cairngorms, I think, was about 5 years ago.
Oh well, yeah. So it's still
All
happening.
that time.
It's still happening. Like, it's getting unfortunate, but we're actually starting to run out of recording time. Like,
You can pop me back. You can always bring me back on. I'll make time for you guys. Yeah.
That is a definite. Like, I really want, want to pick your brain about special, like, different things, like just like
Yeah. And if anyone's got any questions, just send them to you, and you can always ask me, and I'll pop back on.
Yeah,
Oh, brilliant.
that
Thank you
that
very
is
much.
fantastic. But we will keep you on because, like, we'll want to talk. Like,
and chat with you about a couple of things.
But no, I just want to say, like, I'm very fanboy. Like,
No. At some point, we're going to sit down and have a brew together in a wet field somewhere with a campfire going. So you don't have to fan. I'm as normal as normal.
I just think it's because of, like, I've started, like, when I started listening to you. Now I'm actually talking to you, like, pretty much face to face. It's just it's a bit surreal. Like, it's I've always wanted to.
Hello, my name's Deborah Hatswell, and you're listening to BBR Investigations. We all have a podcast voice, don't we? We all have a podcast voice.
Oh God, yeah. I think if I spoke my normal voice now, they'd understand me. But no, we will definitely get Deborah back on for more episodes to come.
Yeah, 100%.
It worked so well. Like, we really do appreciate it, Deborah. Thank you.
Oh, brilliant.
But yeah.
But before you cut off, is if you want to give yourself a quick plug, leave your link, say your links, everything where people can find you and follow you. Please.
Just put my name in, Deborah Hatswell, BBR. You'll find me. That's how easy I've made it. My actual email is debbiehatswell@gmail.com. All lowercase, yeah. I've made it as easy for people to find me because you never know what question they're going to ask you or what they're looking for. So just Deborah Hatswell, just get my name in and you'll find me.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
No, fantastic. Yeah, we appreciate it. You can find us on Facebook, which is Mr. Mysteries in black and white. You can follow us on Instagram, which is Mr. Mysteries _. You can follow us on Twitter, which is Mr. Mysteries 1. You can follow us on TikTok, which is Mr. Mysteries 10. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel, which is Mr. Mysteries, but it's easier to find it on the Facebook page. You can listen to us at Josh.
Podbean, Spotify, Amazon, Samsung, Podchaser, Player FM, and iHeartRadio.
Fantastic.
Same for me.
Yeah. But yeah, again, thank you ever so much for coming on, Deborah, and we'll see everyone else next time.
See ya.
Good night, everyone.